Tom Clark's Main Event is a Boink Studios production. And now, on with the show.
This is Daddy's show. Step off.
Come on, won't you say it loud? Ayo, we gon' turn this out. Tom Clark's Main Event.
Hey, what is up, kids? Welcome back to the program. Tom Clark here with you on a Friday. Boy, this shirt is not going to cooperate, is it? Maybe if I just sit real still. What do you think? Rocking the Zeppelin today, baby. You know what's up. Let me fix that. Usually I got the hoodie on. And I can't remember which episode it was where I said I'm going to, bring the hoodie back because I got, really hot in here. I think it's what it was. Is that better? Let me do one more click. For those of you listening, thank you for being patient. Thank you for being patient because I'm just getting ridiculous up in here. Let's see. One more. Meet me halfway. There we go. Is that better? I'm not quite as digitized, am I? It's going to happen a little bit, but it's fine. I got a great shirt though, don't I? Look at that. I look good, don't I? So let me guess. You've never seen a white dude my age wearing a Zeppelin shirt. I know. I get it. It doesn't happen ever, right? It's happening now, isn't it? Let's get the ticker ticking here, kids. Apologies for being out last week. We had weather here in the great state of North Carolina. And by weather, I mean we had snow like that much. It wasn't much. It was enough to call school off for 3 days because that's what we do here in North Carolina. If you're not in this state, you don't understand how weather works and how crazy it can be when people losing their minds and whatnot. Let me just tell you, people lose their minds and whatnot. I'm not going to lie. It can be effing nuts, dude. No kidding. So anyway, I didn't want to have to come out in the mess because it was quite the mess. So I said, you know what? I'm going to just cancel the show and stay home. My apologies for that. I know that sucks. I miss being with you guys last week. Whenever I'm not here, I miss it, if I'm being real. So I'm all choked up. See how much I missed you? It chokes me up. This is episode number 360, ladies and gentlemen. And man, 360 sounds like a lot, doesn't it? But when you consider the show's been going now, this is been going since 2014. So this is our season 11, season 12. I forget. Math's hard. Anyway, you know what I mean. When you look at it that way, 360 still a good number. However, it's not 560, is it? Boy, for that 500th show, we're going to have to bring in a house band and stuff. We're going to have to bring in the Tom Clark's Main Event dancers. I've been threatening to bring those girls out for years. And guys, I don't freaking, I don't judge. If men can dance, I'm going to bring them out. Ladies and gentlemen, the Tom Clark's Main Event dancers. Just saying. Let's get some thank yous out of the way, some hellos and all that good stuff. Before I do, guess what I'm going to ask for? Click. Watch this. Click. You know what that is? Smash the like button for me. You knew I was going to ask that, didn't you? I'm giving you some Zeppelin on the chest today, man. I'm giving you the Mandarin look again. I'm giving you the bracelets. I got my Zeppelin happening. I'm in full effect, baby. This is what middle-aged white hood looks like. All right? I know what you're thinking. I never knew it could look so good. Well, guess what? Hey, man, I'm bringing you the goodness that is Tom Clark, okay? I mean, what else would you do with your Fridays? Go enjoy life? Really? Why do that when you can hang out with me and put up with my nonsense for an hour or so? So, yeah, by the way, I got signed out of everything, had to sign back in, and I love it how the platform himself is telling me, hey, this is where live comments aren't welcome. I'm like I've never been here. Isn't that odd? Josh McManus was the first run to the room today. Happy Friday to you. JP Jeffrey Peters here. Brienne, Blackjack Milligan is here. Thank you, Brienne. See, everyone be more like Brienne. Ray All Day is here. What's up, Ray? Oh, man. David Down Under. Good to see you, my friend. David, I'm going to take a guess at what time it is for you. I'm going to say it's about 10 o'clock at night. Because the UK is 5 hours different. So I'm going to take a random guess and say that Australia is 6 hours difference. Is that right? Josh says, T-shirts fire. Thank you. It was a Christmas present because I'm well loved and respected. You didn't know that? I can't believe you didn't know that. Rob says, and Rob addresses me by my given name or by my chosen name. Oh, Captain, my captain. Thank you, Rob. Tom giving us a wrestling pod. Not a rom-com. You give us all the wrestling info. Hey, look, I'm not above giving a rom-com. I'm not above it, but it has to be Christmas related. That's where I draw the line. I like the Hallmark movies. We've talked about it here. But I won't get into it. But yeah, you know how I feel about that. I need some new headphones. Who wants to buy me a pair of headphones? They're not expensive. They're like $50. It's not bad. I don't go too crazy. I don't go too expensive. On my tech. Ray says, who's Led Zeppelin? Ray, knock it off. Ray, by the way, message me about how your tech went. I'm sorry I never got back to you to follow up to see if you got everything hooked up, man. JP says he doesn't like Led Zeppelin. We're moving on from JP. Just kidding. Brianne says in AEW, it's good to see Kenny Omega back. You're getting ready to be able to talk about all that and a lot more here in just a sec. What's up, Jim? Jim says, I have heard of Greta Van Fleet. I'm very torn on them. Good little band. But, you know, when they first broke and they're talking about we're not taking the cues from Led Zeppelin, who are you kidding? Who are you fooling? Come on, dude. That kid singing the lead, come on, man. What are we doing? That's like them trying to convince you that Demolition wasn't a ripoff of the Road Warriors. Come on, we're not stupid. Come on, man. Right? It's one thing when everybody just happened to sound like Eddie Vedder, and then guys who were intentionally trying to sound like Eddie Vedder is a big difference. Big difference. David says it's 7:40 a.m. Man, was I way off. Holy cow, Dave. So you are 15 hours difference? Holy Lord. I honestly had no idea. And you see, I didn't look it up. I was just waiting on you to tell me. I wasn't going to cheat. Ray says, how's the boy? Boy's good. He is off work today. And he's chilling at the house. The wife had surgery this week, outpatient surgery, and she is recuperating and recovering. And Tom has been playing a nursemaid the past several days, and he got out. Not got out, but he came here to do the show to talk to you good people. And then he's going to go back. So in the meantime, the boy's taking care of his mother. He better be. You feel me? He better be. Guess what today is, kids? This is the 8th edition of ATA Ask Tom Anything. I know what that means. I'm opening myself up to all kinds of weird, funky questions. And hopefully you guys will be nice, play pretty with each other. Okay? Let's stay out of politics. Let's stay out of religion. Let's stay out of any really hot button stuff that gets people yelling and screaming at each other. We can do that with pro wrestling. We can just scream and yell over pro wrestling all day. We're not gonna. Okay? We're not gonna, because that's weird. But if you're going to talk, let's try it. It can be anything, pop culture, pro wrestling, whatever you want to do. I'm just saying, let's leave religion and politics out of it if we can. James Chapman says he have a question. James, my friend, hit me. Brienne says, what was your thoughts on Penta making his WWE debut? Great way to kick off the show, Brienne. Good for you. I will say the same thing that I said when Penta first announced, when it was first announced he was probably leaving and going to that company. I will keep up with the same thing I said then, because I will be consistent and remain that way for everybody here. Okay. If this is what he wants, and obviously it was, if he's happy and everything goes well, I love it for him. I'm happy for him. I hope he makes more money he's ever made in his life. I hope he saves every dime of it. And I hope that he can retire a very wealthy man one day when his time comes. And I hope that his great grandkids are set. I'm not trying to be cute. And I hope that they do right by him. And I hope they make him a major, even a bigger star than he is now. Having said all of that, you knew there was a having said all of that coming, didn't you? This is not on him. But the stories that came out about, they went over on their time and people were upset. So I'm not going to confirm or deny that. But here's what I'll tell you. For anyone that doesn't believe that timing of the matches is important, you're wrong. Okay. You're flat out wrong. And it's not just in those in WWE and AEW and New Japan and GCW. It's in the company that runs in your small town. It's in the company that runs at the Legion Hall and the fairgrounds and the high school gyms. I mean, the time of the match is the time of the match. If Ray's working gym and you guys are told you got 12 minutes, brother, you better be done in 12 minutes. Because if you run to 16, that's a problem. Because trust me, I was behind the scenes writing storylines and booking shows and planning shows out and getting us all the way up to the point of a 2-hour show. I mean, it's important. And trust me, if your time is cut because of the match that came before you, that's a big deal. Doesn't mean you'll throw hands. It doesn't mean you'll get violent. Let's be professionals. It doesn't mean anyone's going to lose their job here. It just means that, yeah, you've affected the show. And I'm going to tell you something. I've spoke to many wrestlers over the years who would say the same thing. They don't want to be the guy that made everyone else's time get cut because they went over. So having said all that, in the end, it won't be a big deal. You know, if this happens, pardon me, 8 matches in a row, then maybe we can talk about how it's a big deal. It is a big deal, but in terms of it being a major deal long term, I don't think that it will be. I just want to give my 2 cents worth in there. Let's see here now. Ba, 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 ba. Da, 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 da. Jim says, I hope WWE doesn't drop the ball with Penta. Same. We'll see. To finish up a point on that, thank you, Jim, for that, because I had another point I was going to make real quick. He doesn't seem to be the kind of style that they really care too often much about, because that kind of style, they want to slow those guys down. One of the things that about Will Ospreay, if he had went to WWE, he would not be Will Ospreay. I don't mean name and all that. I'm talking about the guy that you enjoy watching in AEW would probably not be the guy in WWE, because they encourage their guys to slow down, to not take the chances and stuff. And that's fine. Look, you want to be able to walk in 10 years, don't you? Right? And not live in chronic pain and be in a wheelchair crippled up. Right? There's valid points to be made for slowing down and not going so hard. But imagine Penta and Ray Phoenix, especially, slowing all the way down to the point where they're not going at all. Think about that, because if and when Phoenix signs, and I believe that he will eventually, they tell Ray Phoenix to slow down, that might be a different conversation. But look, maybe I'll be dead wrong and it will all be fine. But again, another opinion there. Ray says, I know Vince paid off his latest lawsuit. So the latest that I heard today, and if something's happened today, then maybe I am not completely up to date, but let's take a look. Let's take a look. In terms of Vince, I don't see anything that's breaking at the moment. I know that he's pushed back on her, and there's some legal stuff happening. I'm going to tell you, man, it's just, I can't comment on a lot of it because all you know is what the attorneys are saying. But I've said from day one, it sure as heck doesn't look good for him. And he's worth like $3 billion at this point. I don't know why he'd care. At that point, that's lizard people level money. Do you know what I mean? Your weird conspiracy people out there, that's lizard people kind of living right there, man. If $3 billion, are you kidding me? Holy Lord. Yeah, dude. Look, I to come out and to lie to the degree that his defenders believe she's lied. You have got to be kidding me. To ruin your own life, to put your life in total chaos for the sake of a payday and lie. Are you kidding? I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying that, where there's smoke, there's probably going to be some fire. I'm just saying, dude. Just my thoughts. Shane, another top story that's happening right now. Thoughts on Corey Graves? This thing with Corey where he was, commentator on a top show, bumping down to NXT, what he considered to be bumping down, I guess, and then no-showed the event. Look, Shane, this is not directed at you. For anybody that's surprised by this, I don't get why you're surprised. I don't know why anything would shock you. This is WWE. They've done this for years. I saw Coachman not go off, but Coachman kind of went at Corey a little bit on social media and said things to the effect of, they did it to JR 5 times. Yeah, and it wasn't right then, freaking Coachman. What are we talking about? You know what I mean? What are we talking about? By the way, he's one of those guys. He's kind of like Bubba Ray now, Billy Ray, whatever he's calling himself, and Booker T, where they're just so deep into the bag for WWE. It is insane. They bleed the red, white, and black, dude. And it's fine. I don't care. You know, legendary guys, you know, it is what it is. Like it's fine. Exception one of them, maybe. But look, it's whatever. Well, exception to two of them, maybe. But hey, look, I'm just calling like I see it. It is what it is. I think it's real, but whether it will continue to be real and not be turned into a work, I don't know. The question I have for people who think it's all a work right now, to what end? What purpose does it serve other than he's a surprise entrant in the Royal Rumble? If that's what we think, that's fine. But I don't know if that'll be the case or not. We shall see. JP with another hot story. You guys are crushing it today, man. You're making my job very easy here. JP says, what do you think about the TNA? That'll be a multi-year deal to swap wrestlers whenever they want to. I think what you meant to say was, what do you think about the TNA WWE deal where WWE can just take. Hey, look, I'm not saying that's going to happen. It is what it is. You know, is TNA going to become a feeder system for WWE? Probably, because WWE can't. There's, GCW is not going to be a feeder for them, right? New Japan's obviously not going to be a feeder for them. New Japan feeds AEW, right? Well, they feed them. They feed them well. Okay. Yeah. So they got to pull talent from somewhere. Where's it going to come from? Look, I'm going to say this is going to sound weird. There's only so many wrestlers. You guys know what I mean by that, right? Like, there's so many wrestlers of that level that can go from a company and in a very short amount of time transition to the next company, to the big dog, right? And if you're, again, no disrespect, because I came up around the guys wrestling in the high school gyms, the guys who you never heard of, who went on to become James Drake, and the guys who went on to become Cash Wheeler, and the guys that you know today that are on AEW. No, there's no shame in any of that. But in terms of, was JD Drake ready on year number 2 to go to AEW? Well, no, he would tell you that too, right? Veterans, you need guys who have their reps in. You need guys that, like, if this guy just came from the indie circuit, I'll bet you it's more than 6 years. You know what I mean? So I guess I could be wrong. It's 2, but for me, you get your reps in, you put your time in. They've got these NIL hires in WWE now. They're going to do that new show, and it's all college age kids and whatnot. Look, I don't care. It's fine. They do whatever they want to do. But you guys know as well as I know, there's a big difference between, I came up in this, it's my passion, to, well, I was playing basketball in college and I blew my knee out and I said, I'll just do wrestling now. To me, it's a big difference. Not that it can't work, not that they won't be successful. One of these kids may turn out to be the best pro wrestler you've ever seen. I know what you're thinking. Hogwash. First of all, watch your language. Second, you don't know that any more than I don't know that. Okay? Keep an open mind. It's hard sometimes. I get it. Let's see. Brienne says, I wonder when Phoenix will come to WWE. I think he's on the way. But look, if all this is true, what we've been hearing, if you're Tony Khan, cut this guy loose. You're doing yourself more harm than good. You know what I mean? Now, I can get it from Tony's perspective to a degree. Like, if it means you're opening the door for other things, if you're opening the door for other towns to kind of hold you hostage, that's not a good thing. I can understand why he'd want to keep hold of them, but at the same time, dude, just cut bait. Let's just move on. I don't know if it's going to happen. We'll see. Rob says, I just heard that NXT and TNA. Yep. We're just talking about that. Yep. Vince having issues with Triple H. There's a lot of talk of Vince possibly buying TNA to make. No, I wouldn't. I would not believe that. Robbie, here's why I'll say that. Because if things were to go south with the Vince stuff, he'll just lose another company. And plus, I wouldn't want Vince McMahon on my TV or even associated. I wouldn't want a McMahon associated with my company. But that's me talking. That's just me talking, right? JP says, when Lucha Underground went off the air, we lost one of the great wrestling shows that was on TV, and there was nothing that's even come close. It was fun, wasn't it? I watched every episode of Lucha Underground. I thoroughly enjoyed it. That Angelico dive from the balcony. One of the coolest things I've ever seen in my life. I'd show it here, but they'd pull my podcast down probably. One of the coolest things I've ever seen, dude. That stage, that from the balcony, didn't even hesitate. So anytime I see Angelico on my TV, I always think about that spot. Effing nuts, dude. Effing nuts. David says, I wouldn't count it as a bump down. NXT is pretty hot at the moment. And anyway, it's a job. You go where your boss says. Yeah. Yeah, I guess. I wouldn't call it a bump down. I wouldn't call it a bump down. But, you know, it's look, if you're in NXT and you're on the younger side and you're trying to prove yourself, and as I said, get your reps in and prove that, you know, one day I want to be on the main roster. Yeah, you're gonna play ball. Why wouldn't you play ball? But if you're a veteran in TNA and you travel the world and then you're working these NXT kids, no disrespect. I'm just saying. And you know, will you have the same mindset in TNA? I don't know. But here's what I'll tell you: money's money, and money spends very well. And WWE's money spends even better, I assume. So, you know, why wouldn't they take the deal? Why wouldn't they take the deal? Fernando, what's up? Says, I think it's all work with Corey Graves. To what end? Do you think the Rumble is the answer? Is the Rumble the answer? Because if not, then what's the answer to doing all this? What would be the reasoning behind it? By the way, as we're taking Q&As today here during the 8th edition of Ask Tom Anything, thanks for tuning in. My name's Tom. What's up? This is my show. Been airing since 2014 on a social media platform near you. And we celebrated the 10-year anniversary last year, season 11. And yeah, this year, season 12 and the 11th year of the podcast. So we're glad you're along for the ride. And thanks much for hanging out and asking your questions, man. You guys are the best. If you've not smashed the like button, I would highly encourage you to do that and ask you very, very please, and thank you. Please smash the like button because that would be awesome. Here's something you may not have known about. Brody King has filed for a trademark, the Hounds of Hell, because evidently Malachi Black is on his way back to WWE. We'll see. And Brody will be getting his own faction and the filing for the trademark of Hounds of Hell on January 15th. By the way, Brody has been a follower from most of his career. He was a follower in Villain Enterprises and the original Ring of Honor. And he was a follower with Malachi Black. Nothing wrong with either one of those, both great factions. But now he has a chance. And Copeland was backstage, as you guys saw, talking about, you know, let's just, you just take it, run, just run, whatever it was he said. It was a weird thing to say, but he got the point across, right? So yeah, we'll see. I think Hounds of Hell is a fun name. Maria, watching from the YouTube. What's up, Maria? JP says maybe it's the start of a new faction for Corey Graves to be the leader. Maybe. Can you imagine how much Corey wants to wrestle again? Has he ever been cleared, by the way? A lot of other guys have been cleared that we never thought we'd see wrestle again. Jim asking about his question. James, I'm sorry. Did you think that Liv get a rematch for the women's title? Do I think she will? Is that what you're asking me? By the way, James, let me throw it back on you. What do you think about all that? Are you entertained by the Dom and Liv and Rhea stuff? Do you like it? Does it still have legs? Do you know what I mean? Is it still working for you? Have they run it too long? I'd be curious to get your thoughts on that because I've heard a little bit of both. I've heard some people say, all right, let's just move on. I've heard other people say, I love it. It's the funnest thing ever. Fernando, good to see you too, my friend. JP says, off the office to the ladder was one of the craziest things I ever said. Oh, yeah, for sure. I'm telling you, that balcony dive was effing nuts, dude. Effing nuts. Ray says, I know you can't get into details. So I was told some Ricky Stark stuff a couple of weeks ago, which I can't really go into if I'm being straight, but I haven't heard anything since then. So I don't know what the latest is. But it was not looking great for him coming back and being, you know, Mr. AEW. But we'll see. Look, stranger things have happened. Are we being real? Let's be real. Jim says, who's everyone thinking is going to be the biggest return or surprise in the Rumble? Great question, Jim. What's everybody got for that? Gerald is in the house. Gerald, what's up, dude? Good to see you. Fernando says, please, no more Rhea versus Dom. Boy, I've heard a lot of that. But I've also heard people who love it. Maria says, Aleister Black. She started calling him Aleister again. You see that? Aleister Black is going to get the Andrade treatment. What has he done since coming back? They love Hunter, man. Those guys love Hunter, I'm telling you. And look, at least you should be happy in your job. Well, you should be where you are appreciated. If you're not appreciating your job, that's never a good thing. And trust me, I have been there many, many times before. By the way, Eddie Kingston, there's an interview out there. This was published on, today actually. And let's see, he's out of action, suffering torn ACL, as we know, and broken tibia. He worked out Cesar Bononi. Remember that guy? On his YouTube channel. Eddie's not in the best shape, but he is working out, which is good. We'll see. He says, I feel free when I'm in the ring. I'm not worried about bills. If something happened at home backstage, nothing. I'm free. I'm Eddie Kingston, full mind, body, and soul. And a lot of times I don't remember matches until I watch them. I remember like right after when I'm talking, like right after the match, but once I'm done with the match and I've taken a shower, I forget everything. And the only way I remember it is if I watch. It's almost like an out-of-body experience. That's what I miss the most. And when I come back, I can't wait just for that feeling. Everything else, I don't care. He just wants that feeling back. I'll be anxious to see him come back. In a perfect world, he would take Mox out, but we don't know if that's going to happen. We'll find out. Ross says, Tom, you've been in the wrestling biz for a while and heard every rumor under the sun. What rumor did you hear in your wrestling career that was so outrageous? Well, let's put it this way. When they say wrestling career, I was never in the ring full time. I got bumped around and I worked a match, and I was a pro wrestling, a heel manager, a babyface manager, commentator, ring announcer, writing storylines, booking shows, working with talent, that kind of thing. So I've done a little bit of everything. Put the ring together, take it down. What rumor did I hear? But the writing career I've been doing for a long time, for sure. Podcasting as well, as you know. Did I hear in the wrestling career that's so outrageous that you wish it would have been true or found out it wasn't? So here's one that I heard as a kid, and this is not this when I was a kid, just a wee lad. I was this big. There was some kind of story that got around when I was growing up that the Rock and Roll Express had been in a car accident, and that Ricky Morton's head was cut off in the car. I'm not making that up. I don't know. This was a kid, but my mom was beside herself because she was a wrestling fan. We were panicking. No internet in those days, but we heard this from several people, and the story got around like crazy. But I can't remember what happened, if they actually had to address it or if it was just localized to this area. I don't know what happened. But I remember that was a real thing. That was a real thing. I would have to ask Shane if he's still in the chat here, if he remembered hearing anything like that in the 80s, because I'm telling you, I remembered hearing it. That was shocking. Magnum's accident, we thought maybe wasn't true in the beginning. Things that we had heard. Let's see. We heard that there was a heel with him, and that the heel left before the cops showed up because heels and faces weren't supposed to travel together. But we know that's not true now. See other things that I've heard. Man, that's a great question. That's a great question. Little things that you hear, like I didn't know that Jake Roberts and Sam Houston were half brothers. I didn't know that. First time I heard, I'm like, whatever. Because when I found out Ole and Arn weren't actually, because they tried to pass them off as brothers, or was it cousins, and they weren't related. And then they tried to pass off Arn as Rick's cousin, and that wasn't true either, because they were just trying to get him the rub. Those kind of things. All that was kind of meshed in together, I believe. JP says, I was shocked to see Hogan on Raw selling his beer and advertising for Saturday night's main event. I wasn't. They called him. They called him. I wouldn't have called him. They don't need him. I'm going to be straight with you. I don't think they need Attitude Era guys anymore. I know they brought Taker in, they brought Rock in. They invited Austin, who I don't know what the story is. Not going to put conjecture out. And this is not made with any disrespect. I don't want to see Undertaker on TV again. I got reasons for that. They're similar to why I don't want to see Hogan back on TV again. It's not for me. If it's for you and you love it, you love those guys, more power to you. It's not for me, dude, at all. And in my opinion, there doesn't have to, it's their company. But I would think there would have to come a time where you're like, you know what? We're going to just stick with our talent, right? Because John will be that guy eventually. John will be the guy they're calling when John's 60 and still in great shape. It's true. They just continue, and they do it for the fans, but they also do it to spike a rating. Let's just be honest with each other. Kids, before we go any further, we're 30 minutes into the show, to this here little show, and I got something to share with you, and I want you to take a look at it. So do me a favor, take a look at it. Here it is.
Boink Studios is the home of Tom Clark's Main Event, Tom Clark's 6M podcast, and Two Nations Under Ted, a Ted Lasso podcast. Visit the site today for links to every podcast platform, social media, special announcements, and a lot more. Check out the site and bookmark today, boinkstudios.com.
Hey, you almost caught me with a ball of water in my hand, but I chose not to. Boinkstudios.com is a website where yours truly puts everything he does on there. You'll get access to all the podcasts. Nothing's behind a paywall. I don't charge for a thing. And you just go on there, get links to every platform, social media, YouTube. Follow us on Boink Studios on YouTube. By the way, I have a request for everybody here. For everybody here, this will mean loads to me, and I promise you it won't cost you a dime. On the Facebook, leave us a review. Go to the review tab and review Tom Clark's Main Event on Tom Clark's Main Event page. If you guys could do that, you don't know what that'd mean to me. That'd be truly awesome. That'd be great. And it occurs to me, I've never asked for reviews. It's just not something. Do you think about it? I don't think anybody ever thinks about it. I don't think about it, obviously, right? So here's what I'm asking is that you would please and thank you, go check out the page and leave us a review. And again, that would be awesome for me. I would appreciate that very much. Just go leave us a review, man. Robbie, you're the best. Thank you so much. I appreciate you doing that. Very cool of you to do that. I'm going to share the page, by the way, right here in the chat. If you guys could do that for me. Hello. There we are. Super. Go review the show, kids. Look, even if all you say is, love the show, Tom's the man, I don't care. You know what I mean? That'd be cool. I'd appreciate that very much. That would make my day. Nay, make my weekend. Let's see here. Fernando, I'm trying to catch back up. I see it. WWE wasn't so scared to give us an intergender match, Dom and Rhea versus Rhea. Fans and sponsors know wrestling is fake. They should be able to take it. Fake is a strong word. Not real or choreographed is much better. I'm not big on intergender. I don't need to see it. A lot of people love it. A lot of companies do it. GCW does it. A lot of other companies do it. TNA does it. And you know what? Go with God. The female talent's good and they're protected. They should be protected. Men should be protecting other men in the ring. Why wouldn't a man protect a woman? Why wouldn't a woman protect a man? She protects another woman, doesn't she? It's all choreographed anyway. It's all about let's get to the next town tomorrow. It's not about let's actually try to kill each other. Why wouldn't you protect each other? So, of course, on paper, it's fine. Do I need to see a grown man punching, watch this, punching a woman in the face? I don't need to see that. I don't need to see a woman getting color at the hands of a man. And maybe I'm old-fashioned. If so, it is what it is. In my mind, it sends the wrong message. I just don't want to see it. Would we rather see a woman bloody a man and she gets no color, but he's on his hands and knees begging for his life and he's bloodied? I don't know if I need to see that either. I just, this is all supposed to be entertainment, and we know that movies aren't real, and I get that, but brother, actors in movies aren't really bleeding. They didn't really get shot. They didn't really fall off a ladder. They didn't fall off a building. Pro wrestlers are doing that stuff, not the getting shot part, but you get it. They're bleeding for real, and real concussions, real broken bones, real everything, in terms of impact. I just don't need to see it. If I interviewed a wrestler who did intergender matches, I'd be honest with them and I'd respect their position and tell them, I respect what you do, and be safe. That's all. But I would never turn my nose up at it. But it's just not for me. You know what I mean? And some guys and gals love it, and that's fine. And I'm not going to be the guy to say you shouldn't like it. That's dumb. This is pro wrestling. Pro wrestling is subjective, like anything else. Like any other form of entertainment is subjective. You may like something, I'll hate it. I may love it, you think it's crap. That's just how it works. James says, I was getting really tired of seeing Rhea and Liv match because I think they should move on. Well, there you go. Great answer. Great answer to that question. I appreciate you. Maria says Penta versus Ray has to happen at WrestleMania. Boy, the way WWE puts over Rey Mysterio like he's the greatest luchador of all time. Ray's awesome. But would Ray call himself the greatest luchador of all time? Sometimes I wonder about that. I love Ray. Don't get me wrong. JP said Joe Henry shows up in the Royal Rumble and Jordan Grace makes her debut in the Women's Royal Rumble. I could see both those things. Sugar Shane says, instead of being TNA are together now, do you think we'll see Charlotte versus Tessa? I don't think they'll be able to stop it. In my mind, they've been wanting to I said this for years on this show, on this very show. If you ever listen, and you guys have, if you ever watched, and you guys have, I've said this many times over the years. I believe they just can't wait for the day to say Flair and Blanchard over the commentary, because I think it means something to them. Will it mean as much now as it did before everything happened with Tessa? We'll see. Fernando says the first time I heard Jake Roberts was related to Sam Houston was recently at the Dark Side. Really? Yeah. Sam was great, dude. Sam had so much potential. Not that anything was wasted. Sam was awesome. Sam was one of Dusty's boys. That didn't hurt Sam at all. Let me tell you. You imagine ladies that, wow, we don't have to get into that. Sam was a good-looking young guy. Right? Sorry, Jim. California was the wrong state to bring. Yeah. At this point, is there a right state? I'll throw that at you. JP says Booker T and Trick Williams are cousins. I don't think I knew that. Well done. JP said, I've always hated Hogan and never want to see him again. I'm just not a fan. People have fond memories of the World Wrestling Federation. I don't. You guys know I've told the story numerous times here on the show. I've told it one time. As a kid growing up, I was a Jim Crockett kid. I watched NWA. I watched Georgia Championship Wrestling. I watched Mid-South. I watched Territories. I didn't care about WWF. I knew they existed. When Jim Crockett wasn't on TV, I watched WWF. But I instantly knew the differences. As a child, you instantly knew. Like, that wasn't wrestling to me. It wasn't real. What I watched was real. Now, when you grow up, you find things out, right? But at the time, I'm like, yeah, it's not real. I had buddies that were my age, like, well, you watching that crap? It's not real pro wrestling. It's how we felt, man. So I don't have that emotional connection. I just don't have that emotional connection. Jim says, love or hate Hogan, though. If it wasn't for him, I don't know if wrestling would have been what it is now. I'll give him credit for the first 20 years or so, but after that, I'm out. Because I just, the old man, I don't want to say the guy's name, McMahon struck gold when he got Hogan and put forth what he wanted to do with him. That's what I'll say. And, I think it is common sense. And I think we all agree that without him, it wouldn't have been the same. I get that. I totally get that. But I also think things could have went in other directions had certain people been healthy, had Magnum's accident never happened, had Sting signed with WWE or WWF at the time. Things take a different path. And at that point, Hogan is not really needed. Sorry, it's how I feel. But yeah, I mean, the guy just doesn't know when to leave well enough alone. And he just got himself into so much trouble. What is it Maya Angelou said? People will tell you who they are. I think it's true. People will tell you who they are. They'll show you. Ray says, I hope Tessa wins the TNA championship this weekend just for the poor cancel culture warriors who can lose their minds. But see, Maria, there's something to that, though. This is not just, we don't like one thing. Tessa got herself into some hot water. There's a reason why she's not worked for a major promotion. There's a reason for that. You know what I mean? There's a reason why WWE never brought her in. There's a reason why AEW never brought her in. The whole cancel culture thing, I get it. It's easy to point at. It's easy for people to rally against. Not that you are. It's easy for people to hate on. But look, if someone's dirty laundry comes out and they're doing something they shouldn't be doing, they should be called out on it. And it's, you know, everybody deserves privacy. I get it. But if you're setting yourself up to be something you're not, and you're hurting someone, you know what I mean? If it's, you're assaulting someone, or if you're stealing money, or you know what I mean? We're talking about reprehensible things. If you're hurting someone, you're harassing, whatever the word is, stalking. Dude, when people are doing things they shouldn't, if you're racist, you have a history, people who work for you have been scared to come out. Those kind of people need to be gone. I don't mean like, I just mean like they need to be dealt with like that. People, you shouldn't get away with treating anybody like that. There's just people need to be better to each other, man. I'm not trying to preach. Like I get the frustration people have with it. It's, oh, well, Tom said one thing 10 years ago. True. I'm not going to dispute that. Sure. I said dumb things in my time. We all have. But again, a pattern of behavior where you're physically hurting, emotionally hurting someone else. You know what I mean? It's just, yeah. I mean, we've all got things we don't want people knowing about, but how deep does it go for some people? Probably a lot deeper than we know. Dom and Liv, yeah, this given fire. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I don't follow a lot of what that storyline's doing right now. May not be the best guy to ask about that. I like everybody in the angle. I think Dom, by the way, I'll cap it off with this. I think Dom is fantastic. I mean, I know the jury's been out on that kid since he got there, but man, that dumb haircut and that look he's got is so great for a cocky heel. Never change. That guy should never turn face. I'm telling you, never turn that kid face. Sugar Shane said, did y'all know a Memphis wrestler got arrested on live TV and it was real? Billy Joe Travis got arrested for back child support. His ex-wife told the cops where he would be on Saturday morning, and they showed up at the studio and Jerry Lawler to them to show it, and they did. He was cutting a promo when he got arrested. That is fantastic, and I think I've heard that. I don't think I've ever seen it. That is wonderful. We see Wonder Man and wait. Wonder Man and Black Widow fight men. Why not? Why not at movie? Wonder Woman and Black Widow fight men, but that's a movie. No one's getting hurt, is what I'm saying. I think women are awesome. I think Scarlett Johansson and Gal Gadot are great. And I love when you talk about women being empowered to do it. Look, my comment on not caring about intergender wrestling has nothing to do with women not being able to do it. Let me clarify. It has nothing to do with that. It's not because they shouldn't be because they're women. I don't care about that. I've been in conversation with women who and booked women in matches who I knew that women's match out of 8 matches were going to steal the show, and it freaking did. I'm just being blunt. Freaking stole the show with some great talents we had booked too. But that woman's match stole the freaking show. It's not a question of whether or not they can do it. It's for me personally, for Tom, from an aesthetic point of view, I don't need to or want to see a woman get put through a table by a man. And look, I was raised by a single mom. My dad was killed when I was very young. My dad was a great guy. There's no weird history there. So maybe a lot of my issues with it are connected to other things. And here's what I'll tell you. For people who don't care about the intergender stuff, it cuts one of two ways. One, women shouldn't be blah, 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 which is not me. And I think that's short-sighted. But the other part of it, it could be deeply connected to other things than you maybe know. You know what I mean? What if there's some male fans that don't want to see that because they saw their mom get thrown around when they were growing up? I'm just putting it out there to you. I just think it's, and again, I as long as everybody's safe, even men versus men, I don't see anybody get hurt. I don't care. It's fine. I've never campaigned against it. I've never said, don't you dare watch it. I don't care what you watch. I'm just saying for me personally, it's just not something I've needed. And then through the years when I took my kid to see wrestling, I didn't want him seeing it because even though I smartened my kid up when he was little, and I did, you guys know I did. I smartened my kid up when he was little, and I explained to him, listen, son, what you're seeing is that they're not trying to kill each other. They're wrestling, okay? And no one's going to get hurt tonight. You know why I told him that, smartened him up? Because I didn't want him thinking that punching people in the face was the way we solve our problems. I needed him to know that's not how we solve problems. We solve problems like adults. You know what I mean? Now, That may not work for the dad around the corner, and his kid will grow up well adjusted and be fine and never think the worst. This is all subjective. It's based on your own point of view and what you think. That's what I'm saying. What's up, E, at work? Look at you playing hooky at work. Charlotte will come back. There's a photo of her backstage. Was it NXT? She's backstage this week. I'm sure she's coming back soon. Fernandez says, what are the chances Brock... Look, never say never. Do I need to see Brock Lesnar again? I really don't. Ray says, who do you think will beat Mercedes? She's looking... Mercedes is awesome. She's awesome. Great stuff. Anybody doesn't like Mercedes now, I've got a serious question about what's wrong with you. Sarah is here. Freaking Sarah, what's up? Definitely think Tony's going to get championship back from Mariah. Yeah. Well, yeah, the amnesia. Oh, you think, well, you know what I don't like about it? We'll be here all day. I don't like the fact that they got Mariah playing into it. I don't get that part of it. That's where they lost me. Right? It doesn't matter. It's silly pro wrestling. But yeah, she got the match because this can be in Australia. I totally get that. But again, the storyline, I don't know. I would have not had her win for a while. Or had her win sporadically. I don't know. But it is what it is. AEW is going to AEW. Yeah, a great point. Rest in peace of Black Bart and Bob Uecker. Legends in their respective fields. Black Bart, Mid-Atlantic heavyweight champion for like 10 years straight. I don't know. He had that belt forever, didn't he? I like Holly Cameron. I think she's awesome. We're about to take it home here, kids. We're about to open the floor up so Ray can get his question in. What are my thoughts on MJF and Jeff Jarrett promo? It's still going, last I heard. I think it's still going. Look, they're going to give Jeff a send-off, and they're probably going to give him a Sting send-off when the time comes. And it's fine. I'm Tony loves the old Mid-South stuff. He's a territories guy. I get it. Is it great TV? I thought the promo was crazy long. And, I don't know. I got mixed feelings on this because I like both these guys. I do. But I got mixed feelings on this. I think Jeff at his best is a cocky heel. And, him taking shots at MJF's girlfriend. I mean, I guess it's okay, but I don't know. I would like to have seen the Jeff that was, that cocky Jeff that we all know and that's strutting around. But, I don't know. I don't know who that helped, who the promo helped. Did it help him? Did it make MJF look like a face? I don't know. Maria says, was totally just as good as Ric Flair in the ring. Tully was very talented. Tully was very, very good. I would think that Rick would tell you, if you could ask Rick, I think Rick would tell you that he loved working Tully and that Tully was very, very good. Because he was. Tully was a very cool heel at a time when cool heroes weren't always a thing. George Jimmy Garvin, another fun, goofy, cool heel. Tully less goofy and more serious, but also a cool heel. I think Tully in a different world, like Arn in a different world, could have been a world heavyweight champion. That's how I feel. That's how I feel. Let me do this for the sake of ceremony, just so it's there. The floor has been opened. Been open the whole hour. Ray Dean says, Ice Cube or Nas. I'll say Nas. And part 2, House of Pain or Lost Boys. I'll say House of Pain. And if Adam Cole invited you to the grand opening of the Adam Cole Winter Hat and Coat store, that's a good one, and said you could have a free hat and a coat, what brand would you take? I don't know my brands of hat and coats. I think I like a fedora and a driving coat, the longer coats that go down past the hips. I think those are cool. Something from the 40s. You know what I mean? I think that'd be nice. He also said, call one of your friends so they can get a free hat and coat. Would you please call me? Yes. They don't get dinner, which include a large bowl of veggie chili, some tasty fries, and a slice of potato pie. Please come as well. Of course. Who do y'all think would have won? The Great Muta versus the Great Kabuki? I think the fans would have won. Don't you hate that answer? I don't think the winning would have mattered. I think it would have been the match itself would have been fantastic. Did they ever work, by the way? Did they ever work, Shane? I thought they had worked like some random. Maybe I'm wrong. I could have sworn they had because they tried to pass Muta off as Great Kabuki's son, right? In NWA. Maybe there was too many years between the two. Robbie says, okay, out of all the luchadors who brought respect to wrestling with a mask that no longer wrestle, who do you consider the greatest? Mil Mascaris and the Villanos. Yeah, Mascaris is fine. Legend and whatnot. There's just been a lot of stuff come out about him over the years where he didn't want to do the job. That's the joke. And no yob, right? He would say, I don't know if it's true or not. Who knows? But then he just got to where he wouldn't bump for anybody. And so it's all about him. And I mean, I guess I get it. But El Santos, I think, legendary luchador. And I'm not very, very schooled on classic, throwback luchador guys. I'm gonna be straight with you. A lot of guys liked, a lot of fans liked, who was the guy? The guy that did the La Parca. Jeez, that gimmick, dude, that gimmick. People loved it though. People loved it. Fernando says, my thoughts on the worst save by baby faces ever at the end of AW. On the worst save by baby faces ever. Here's what I don't get. If there's three heels in the ring shouldn't be powdering out to one face. Unless that face is John Moxley. Unless that face is Brody King. Unless that face is Powerhouse Hobbs. If there's three of you, you should not be powdering out. I was at a show one night and we had George South up quite a bit at that point. I think he came up every weekend for us. And his son, George South Jr., don't know if he's still working, no idea. His son and the guys he was training would travel with him and they'd work each other. So that gave us another whole match, plus the match we'd put George in. And so they had heat one night. And so George comes in and clears out his dad and one other guy. And back behind the curtain, boy, he wasn't shy about getting in his kid's face. And it's his kid. We're not going to say anything to him. But he got in his face. He goes, don't you ever try to get me to powder out without bringing a weapon again. Be sure you grab a chair. He's like, because I got no reason to get out of the ring, especially if I got somebody else with me, because we could take you down. He's right. So that's my quick answer is that, I do get tired. By the way, was Copeland and FTR just taking forever and Powerhouse Hobbs got his whatever it was with the chair destroyed? Was it his leg? By the way, that whole thing, I don't know what's going on there. You heat the guy up for one match. Now he's going to be cold again. What are we doing? That's that company, man. That's that company. And Hobbs is great. Hobbs has come so far. I think Hobbs could be a monster, no pun intended, baby face for that company. Like a hero. I don't even know about it now. I really don't even know about it now. I have no idea what they're even doing. I really don't. Again, you heat him up for 1 week and then you had Mox choke him out. You choked out a guy that could be a top face. That company needs top faces. Someone mentioned Omega earlier. Thank you for that. Top faces. Who they got? They got, Mark Briscoe, who's awesome. They got Darby, who's awesome. Ospreay, who's great. Omega. I mean, you need top baby faces. And Hobbs can be one. But then you choke him out. Shane said, just an idea for your show. How all the loyal fans describe what their wrestling persona would be. That'd be fun. But you'd have to come up with your own gimmick. You got to name yourself, too. Maybe we'll do that one of these days. That'd be fun. I'm the trash man. Anyone ever watched It's Always Sunny? I haven't watched it in a long time. Renee says, who crossover success do you find more successful? Will Smith? Will Smith, rapper to movie star, or Rock, wrestler to movie star? I think the more improbable of the two would probably be Rock to a movie star. Because while that would seem like a natural transition because the guy's been under the bright lights and on cameras and knows how to repeat lines and knows how to emote and run storylines and stuff, that's never always meant anything for pro wrestlers in the past. So I'll say maybe him. But Will Smith, the rapper to movie star, is a huge move to? That's a great question. Great question. I don't have a great answer. I think on some terms it could both be very equally the same, honestly, if I'm being real with you. But for me, in my head, rock wrestler to movie star is a little bit more, successful in terms of maybe we didn't see it coming, that kind of thing. Did you see it coming? Remember his first couple movies were terrible. A lot of them since then hadn't been great, but they've gotten better. Yeah. Well, kids, guess what? It is the top of the hour. Is the top of the hour. Fernando, we may end with you. Tony needs to pivot from Darby becoming champion. Death Riders has to end now. I don't know if it has to end. I just wish there was a point to it. I kind of feel like there's no longer a point. I wonder if there ever was one. I don't know if there even is one. I don't know if there ever was one. That's just me talking. It sure as heck doesn't feel like it to me. I don't think there ever was. That's just me. Well, kids, that is the top of the hour. That's where we are. We're going to end on that note. I got to thank everybody, of course, for hanging out with me. You guys are the absolute best. As always, it's my honor and pleasure to podcast for you and to enjoy conversation. Hopefully, I bring something to the end of your week. Hopefully, you end your week in style and have a laugh or two at the middle-aged white dude in the Led Zeppelin shirt. That's me. But yeah, dude, as always, I appreciate you very much hanging out, choosing to take time out of your day. Could have been anywhere else in the world, but you chose to be here with me, and I appreciate that. So yeah, means loads to me. Thank you as always, kids. You guys are awesome. Do me a favor, check out boinkstudios.com, B-O-I-N-K, boinkstudios.com. That means loads to me as well. Review Tom Clark's Main Event on the Facebook. Leave me a review, please, and thank you. And bookmark Tom Clark's Main Event. I'm sorry, bookmark boinkstudios.com. I'll get it. The website. It's updated very, very frequently. So do that, and I would appreciate it as well. Guys, have a great week. If you're on the East Coast, watch out for bad weather. It could be happening this weekend. Everybody be safe. Check out some wrestling. Hope you guys are doing well. Continue to do well. Take care of each other. Be nice out there, kids. All right? Something happened next week. Everybody's going to stick together. Keep your heads about you. All right? We got a lot to get through in the next few years. So let's do what we can to get there. And I hope everybody does well through everything. I'll do what I can. And I appreciate you very much. That's it for me, kids. Thanks a lot. We'll see you a week from today. Everybody, do me a favor. Have a great weekend and a great week. And we'll see you next week, kids. Thanks much.